That's Deadpool. That's Wolverine.
You're damn straight it is. Fox killed him. Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
Deadpool's back and fucking harder than a Honda Odyssey. This is spoilers. It's been a while since we had a certain superhero correspondent on the podcast.
The superhero
The
correspondent.
one and only superhero correspondent. It's the return of PK to spoilers. I'm surrounded by two Kellys, two different Kellys, a Brett Kelly and a PK Kelly. Introduce yourselves.
Actually, me.
East to East. We can bleep that out. But in honor of the Honda Odyssey mention in this movie, I was curious, worst car you've ever owned or least favorite car of all time? Brett, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Are you good to go? Do you have one? I can go.
Go ahead.
Oh, I got one.
This is Pappy, recording from Goshen, Indiana. I've had pretty good luck with cars. All of the cars I've ever had have lasted for a long time. I did have a Dodge Grand Caravan. That was probably my least favorite car I've ever owned, but still, that thing was a beast. It still lasted like a really long time. Now, it was dirty and gross and had like transmission issues and it's probably not very safe, but it got me through the end of college, and I would recommend a van for anyone in college. Least favorite car, though, there was a guy in my neighborhood who had a PT Cruiser that had the words Dragon Slayer on it, and I always thought that was like really weird and silly. Probably my least favorite car of all time. Brett, was that enough time? Do you have one now?
PK does.
Okay, PK.
First off, just want to say it's fantastic to be back. It's been a long, long road.
Too long.
And I don't blame you guys because superhero movies have been down. But we're back with I don't know if it's a great movie, but it's a really fun movie. And so take me back to 16-year-old PK. My first car I ever drove to high school was a shit brown Oldsmobile Cutlass. And it was like the worst car to start driving to high school. I was like embarrassed to show up to the school parking lot with that thing. But then I eventually moved on to a Chevy Cavalier, which was even worse because that car had so many issues. I drove up to see a friend in Detroit. It broke down on the way there. I had to stay like extra time there because it was getting fixed. And then it broke down on the way back. So the Chevy Cavalier is my Honda Odyssey. It just didn't fuck.
Yeah, I can see that. The Oldsmobile Cutlass looks like a boat. This thing looks like a beast of a car. It feels like it's a very old person car too.
Yeah, not the ideal 16-year-old PK's ride to school.
A lot of trunk space though. Put whatever back there. Brett, has it been enough time?
Sure. So, this is Brett. The first car my mom ever bought me was this Eagle Talon. It was maroon, and it was a stick shift. I'd never driven stick before, but I enjoyed it, but I only ended up having it for 3 days because it needed a new transmission.
Was it a convertible?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it had a CB radio in it.
Nice.
But it kind of ruined driving stick for me. It would just die and shake, and it would pop out of gear and stuff, so that's probably it. And then I ended up getting, I think I got a 4-door Pontiac Sunfire that I had for next year, so that's, I don't know. We had a Gold Explorer that Brian and I had in college, and we liked it, but it had the CD player that you better feel really good about the CD you put in there because
it wasn't coming out.
No, it'll come out, but it'll be a long time before you can put another one in. So you got to make sure that mix you put in is good and can keep rocking for a while. But I think that's what it was.
Isn't that a How I Met Your Mother bit? Like the cassette tape?
Yeah, they can't get the tape
work?
out.
Yeah.
It's just it just plays. I would walk 500 miles over and over again.
Yeah.
What a banger.
Yeah, they drive it across country and it plays that the whole time, and then they get sick of it, but then they're like, it's coming back. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything else. All the cars we had were pretty good. Not too bad.
It's such devastating news when your car needs a new transmission or something like that. Like, that is just, like, so sad. And, like, the first time...
Well, the guy gave us our money back because it's
that's good. Yeah.
I'm sure it's Dad's Auto Deals. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember Dad's. Of course.
That's the last time we shopped at Dad's.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. At least they give you your money back.
You know what I have fond memories of, though? Is making burnt CDs to listen to in the car.
Think about that. I still have a bunch of them.
Like, almost all of mine were basically exactly the same. I would just, like, swap one song for a different one. It's like 10 CDs of essentially the same mix.
Yeah, you'd write on the outside a marker.
Yep.
My brother would give me crap because I would just make mixes that had, like, no theme. And it would be, like,
same.
hard, soft. He's just like, dude, this is all over the place. I'm like, hey, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Right, yeah. It's a Brett journey.
Yeah.
And then, like, you hear those songs so much that, like, you anticipate the next song that's on your mix. And if you ever hear that song out of context, like, you can remember what song was next on your mix.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. What hasn't been such good times, though, PK, is Marvel. And yeah, don't take it personally. We've barely been able to schedule amongst...
I don't take it personal.
amongst us, let alone...
I still love listening to it. I'm still listening, baby. I'm still a fan.
I'm so glad we're able to do a superhero movie. But what's been the state of Marvel since we last spoke? I think Endgame was probably the last Marvel thing you were on. Like, there's been a couple shows, Loki, WandaVision.
Yeah, I think I was on for WandaVision.
The shows have been pretty good.
Hit or miss. The state of Marvel, the MCU, has been, as Deadpool would say, a low point at this point. Yeah, like the whole multiverse saga, I feel like has not played out as well as they wanted it to, just because they're just trying to do so much, and Endgame was such a high. It's like you can't really... I feel like they had to fall off at some point because of that. It built up for so long with this fantastic ending, and then it's like, all right, where do we go from here? Mm-hmm. Like, how do we keep going up? And it's just, Doctor Strange was okay. Ant-Man was very disappointing. I haven't even seen the Marvels. I apologize.
It's not very good. We watched it recently.
Eternals was so different, and it just didn't seem like it fit.
Spider-Man was awesome.
Spider-Man No Way Home was a beacon of joy in my life. But yeah, it's been a long time, and it's deservingly so that I haven't been on here, because honestly, a lot of these movies aren't worth really going into in detail.
There's still a lot of content, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you listed 20 things. It's like, oh yeah, there's so much that's come out. It's hard to keep track, almost.
Yeah. And they definitely hit on it in this movie. They don't just bash on 20th Century Fox. They bash on themselves and, like, straight up say, the multiverse stuff isn't really working.
Yeah.
Which I think it could. And I think they're, obviously they're still going to be doing that kind of stuff for the Avengers movies, but I think they're starting to realize the solo movies / like smaller scale is kind of what people want now. They want the individual stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brett, to get into the movie a little bit, I feel like this movie is so different in some ways more than others, but then like the first Deadpool movie, in the sense that like that felt so outside of the MCU, right? And it was doing its own thing, and like people found it to be like refreshing that like he's cussing and it's bloody, and even like more silly than MCU movies. Now, like a big part of this movie is bringing Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool character like literally in to the MCU, right? Like there's a job application process scene at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they nailed that because, like PK said, they're making fun of past and what's going on now. But I don't know. I love how they did this personally. I'm with PK. I love the fan service. I love cameos, and I love meta humor. And I thought this movie hit on all that stuff. I thought it was kind of a good mix between 1 and 2. Kind of like how Guardians 3 was. Like the first one's a better movie, second one's probably funnier, and the third one was kind of a good mix of both. Plus, I mean, they've been teasing this duo for a while, and I thought it hit pretty well. So But yeah, he's in the MCU now. It got a little sad early on. Like, I was really sad that him and Vanessa weren't together, and we made the mistake of not watching the second one again before we went in, and we were like, who the heck is that? Like, we couldn't even remember who the guy with the mustache was.
Yeah, who is
Rob
that
Delaney
guy?
or whatever.
Yeah,
He was,
Peter?
Yeah, he was a friend that he's in the X-Force, and he's the one who gets acid vomit spit on him and he dies. And then in the mid-credit scene in the second movie, he goes back and saves him. He doesn't save Shatterstar, who is just inexplicably in this movie. He famously flies into helicopter blades in the second movie, but I don't know. I probably didn't really answer your question, but yeah, they kind of like, they don't just ease him in there. They like launch him in, and I think Ryan Reynolds has he's got what it takes.
Yeah. Before we bring up Hugh Jackman, because you're right, when you said they've been teasing this duo for a long time, I just want to like re-emphasize, PK. Can you just like lay out where Wade Wilson is at the start of this movie? Brett said like he's not with his girlfriend anymore. He's at a low point.
So yeah, at the beginning, we kind of see him interviewing with Happy Hogan, which is cool to see Jon Favreau make an appearance. And he's talking about how he wants to make a difference and matter and doing it for his girlfriend, and he wants to be an Avenger. And I think it was really good what Happy said to him, and it comes back at the end like, you know, the Avengers don't do this because they need it. The Avengers do this because the people need them. And I think that was a good... And one of my favorite subtle jokes was when Happy's like, I found my place, and he puts his hand up, and he's like, and you gotta find your place, and he like puts his hand like 3 steps down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we flash forward to 6 years after this, apparently, back on Earth 1005, or 10,005, I believe. And yeah, he's just kind of done with being Deadpool and living the civilian life as a car salesman, used car salesman. And he's got all his friends and family back from Deadpool 2, like Brett said. And he's just trying to enjoy his life as much as he can until the TVA shows up.
Mm-hmm. Classic Tennessee Valley Authority behavior. These are the same guys from Loki, right? Like that's just a continuity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, can you remind me like what their role is? They just maintain this. Are we in the sacred timeline? Is that our timeline or is that a different timeline?
I got a little confused about that. So the sacred timeline is the one...
Earth 616.
Yeah. Which is...
I think that's where basically the Avengers and everything mostly takes place.
Deadpool's universe is Earth 10,005, and yeah, Sacred Timeline is 616.
Okay.
So the one that Mr. Paradox is in is a Sacred Timeline, I think.
Well, the TVA is not really in...
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
And Earth, they're just like their own thing.
Mm. It's a lot.
Did you guys watch Loki?
I watched the first season.
Yeah, I watched both of them.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It stinks that the whole season's about Kang, basically.
Yeah.
We did forget to mention that. Like, Kang is no longer going to be the big bad after Jonathan Majors fucked up. PK, are you pumped for RDJ as Dr. Doom?
Man, I don't know, to be honest. It depends on how they do it. Because obviously I think they're going to go the route of him potentially being in like an Iron Man variant. Because if they don't, it's like, if he ever gets unmasked, it's like they're going to recognize him. And if they don't, that's like going to be kind of weird to be like, oh, who is this guy? But he looks just like Iron Man. But I don't know. I'm very iffy on it.
Brittany told me what they is expected to be. And what were you saying about RDJ, Brittany? She's talking, I promise.
That in Secret Wars, all of the universes will come together at one.
Of Iron Man? Yeah, he said he's a variant of like Tony Stark in one of the other universes, but...
Which is a shame, because Victor Von Doom is such a cool character on his own. Like, I hope if he is a variant of Tony Stark, it's literally like, as a baby, he gets picked up by somebody and becomes Victor Von Doom, like, his whole life. So, I don't know. I'm very iffy on it, because they had Cillian Murphy right there. He would have been perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of lame.
I feel like they'll do it well, though. I mean, I know we could complain, but they usually get stuff like that right, especially with the Avengers movies. I mean, Age of Ultron obviously was a miss, but like 3 of the other 4 they nailed. So I don't know. I just say I'm gonna have faith that they do it well.
I do have faith in the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
They seem like the ones that know how to handle all these giant egos and cast members to actually make a coherent story.
I don't think Feige would go for it if he didn't see the potential in it. So
I think that was part of the stipulation, right? Like Robert Downey Jr. wanted the Russo brothers, and he also got like $80 million, I think, for the 2 movies, which is nuts.
It's definitely going to put butts in seats. I'll say that.
Yeah.
for sure, which they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah, back to this movie real quick, too. Tom from Succession is in the TVA.
Is he Paradox? I've never watched that show.
Yeah, he plays Paradox. That's his character's name. I feel like the main story of this movie is getting Deadpool into the MCU, right? Like, the actual plot is a little confusing. Brett, like, did you follow the whole Anchor characters and, like, what's going on there? Like, why the TVA needs Deadpool? I know. It's confusing.
The Anchors.
Yeah.
The thing about the Anchors is I saw it on pitch meeting is like, what about who was the Anchor before Wolverine was born? I mean, that world's been around for like thousands of years. He's only 200 years old.
Yeah, can you just get a new Anchor? Can it like pass down between people?
They just want Deadpool. Why do they want Deadpool? I know why Deadpool wants Wolverine. He wants to get a Wolverine and take him back to his Earth so he can be an Anchor.
Even like Paradox says that he's kind of like, yeah, the people above like want you here for or they see something in you for some reason that I don't or something like that. So it's like they don't really explain it very well. It's just literally like giving him a chance to be in that universe for some reason, but ultimately at the cost of losing his own universe.
It's such like a yada yada. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the point is we need Hugh Jackman here back on screen. PK, were you pumped to see Wolverine?
I mean, it does kind of soil the end of Logan, which was, I freaking cried during the end of that at the movie theater, and which is kind of cool because like it kind of takes me back to my Los Angeles days, because the first movie I saw out there in the Chinese theater, which was like my favorite movie theater, was Deadpool, the first one, and one of the last movies I saw out there in the Chinese theater was Logan, and it's just funny because how they bring it up, like, how are we going to do this without ruining Logan's sacrifice? Well, we're not.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's like a different quote-unquote Wolverine, and he has a little bit more to do, or a different type of acting to do. You know, he's angry. He calls people bub, which is awesome. But yeah, seeing him back in the suit, being able to just go ham with the claws was really fun to see. And Hugh Jackman always brings it. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about that more later with probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Yeah, at one point they're literally using Wolverine's bones, or Deadpool's using Wolverine's bones.
That's so funny. It's so freaking funny.
That opening credits was... I mean, Deadpool's always had, like, abstract opening credits, but this one might take the cake. It was so ridiculous and so... And I'll bring this up now. Like, one of the things I was worried about when they announced him coming to the MCU and they said it was going to be rated R, I was kind of worried about, like, you know, how tame is it going to be?
Oh, that was... They set the tone right there.
Man, yeah. They did not pull any punches with their R rating.
That's about as violent a scene as you'll ever see.
That's what Deadpool deserves. But I definitely could see some people being like, man, this is a little too much. There's so much freaking blood in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that intro is definitely like, yeah, we're part of Disney now, but don't worry. Like, we're staying true to what this character is.
I don't know what this says about me, but every time, especially when Wolverine and Deadpool were fighting and it was so violent, I just had the biggest smile on my face.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, but...
There's a whole sequence as well when Deadpool's going through all the different timelines and seeing different Wolverines. So yeah, Brett, did it stand out to you of the Wolverines that he sees?
Yeah, I was reading about it. They pretty much pull from Wolverine storylines, like the one where he's like being crucified. I'm sure PK will know like what's that's from, but
it's like they pulled that from like one of the most iconic like comic covers from X-Men. It's just him being basically crucified on the X. And yeah, like Brett said, they pulled a lot of different storylines from different Wolverine comics, which is cool.
And then they go the like OG, like what the like a big time inside joke is when Wolverine, he's supposed to be 5'3", and like the comics he's really small. So when he pops down, he's 5'3". That's supposed to be like a huge fan service to the people that read the comics or whatever. The one where he's in the back alley and his hand's been cut off, that's from a different storyline. I thought the Henry Cavill one was freaking hilarious.
The Henry Cavill one was
Oh
good.
my gosh.
Especially when they're like, we'll treat you better. Like, it's just funny.
Cavalrine.
I don't remember any of the specific other ones offhand, but I might have gotten most of them. But
The brown and yellow suit is from a comic line where he does fight the Hulk, and they show that.
Yeah.
That's like part of the cover too, where he like has his claws out and you see the Hulk's reflection in there. So that was cool. And then the eye patch Wolverine, that was cool. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. That was, Deadpool said it himself. Cue the montage. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how much the concept of multiverses is in stuff now. Like, it is cool to see all these different things, but I also feel like I've seen it quite a bit in shit. From Everything Everywhere All at Once to I don't know, Rick and Morty and Marvel. It's just like it's been a really prominent plot point. But we get the worst Wolverine, a drunk Wolverine, who kind of like, I guess, like Manchester by the Sea. The other X-Men left and they all died, sadly, from mutant hunters. So he's all depressed, and they end up, I forget what it's called. It's like the Void or something. It's basically Mad Max land.
they go back to the TVA and then they get pruned,
Yeah, pruned.
and then they get sent to the Void.
The
which
Void. Yeah.
makes an appearance at the end. I think episodes 5 and 6 of the first season.
That was one of my favorite lines too, where they mention Eliath, the big smoke monster, and he's like, "Wait, Eliath from season 1, episode 5 of Loki?"
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything stand out from the Void?
Oh God, yeah. The reveal of Johnny Storm is so freaking amazing. He's gonna say it, and then he's like, "What does he think he's gonna say? Avengers
Assemble.
assemble," and he goes, "Flame on," or whatever.
That was great.
So funny. Go, Pap. I cut you off.
No. Yeah. I mean, there's like a big 20th Century Fox logo in the Void.
Dude, when I saw this for the first time, I saw it a second time today, but there was a guy behind me who obviously didn't watch the trailer because that was in the trailer, and dude, he lost it when he saw the 20th Century Fox logo. He thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah. I had a guy in my show who lost at the Wade Wilson, or not Wade Wilson, what's his name? Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Reveal. He was so confused. He was like, "What?" And then he was laughing.
It was just cool seeing all the old, Fox, Marvel, X-Men villains like Sabretooth and Toad and Pyro, and when they get to the compound, you see I can't remember what his name is, the red devil looking guy, I think is Nightcrawler's father. But there was a couple villains from X-Men First Class, that's what he's from, and Juggernaut, which they made a joke about. It's the third actor to play Juggernaut. It's like, "Oh, you're this year's Juggernaut."
I guess Vinnie Jones didn't want to do it. Of course, the last movie he was in wasn't very good. So, I think it's Azazel.
Yes. The fact that they literally make references to Mad Max, he grabs Sabretooth's head, I don't remember what he said, but he said something about Furiosa. It's so funny.
Yeah. Even the car that they're driving looks like a Mad Max car.
Mm-hmm.
The Void has also swallowed other pre-MCU Marvel characters, right? There's Blade is there, Wesley Snipes.
Holy shit, that was wild.
Who else is there? There's I don't know their names as well.
Elektra.
Yeah.
And Gambit,
and then X-23.
Some of my favorite stuff was from Gambit, because if you don't know the backstory, it's Channing Tatum was trying to get that movie made and be he wanted to play Gambit so bad for so long.
It goes back to 2014 or something like that, and then they finally
maybe
bailed
even
on it
earlier.
in 19, I think, maybe even 12.
Yeah, I think they actually had a movie that they were starting to work on or writing, and then they merged with Disney, and that kind of fell through. So all his lines about I think I might have been born here, because he never was actually in a universe and stuff like that. That was great.
The accent is so funny. It's so all over the place
That's what's
too.
funny. A meta line where he's like, he says something about his voice coach, but
His dialect coach.
yeah, dialect coach, yeah.
But yeah, dude, the fact that they got Wesley Snipes in this, that I think that was the biggest shock for me. Like when he came on the screen, I was like, "Oh, like what?"
Well, he needs money.
Yeah, and the second time I noticed more, like when Deadpool's talking, he's like, "I thought you were retired." Like he says it kind of like Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
He says something like, "Ain't nobody ever gonna play me," and then like Deadpool looks at the camera.
Yeah, he's like, there's
Because
only one
Mahershala
blade
Ali,
or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
It's kind of sad though. Like they talk about the people that were killed by Cassandra Nova. I don't remember exactly who. Magneto,
Daredevil, Punisher. I think
yeah.
there was one more. Silver Surfer, I think.
Silver Surfer got
I
killed
think
by
they said something about that.
Nova. That'd be
Maybe.
He's pretty powerful, but I guess if he's in the void, he might not have the power cosmic.
Or no, they
so-
said Quicksilver.
Oh, okay, yes,
That's what it was.
that makes more sense.
Who's Nova?
Silver.
Who's Nova?
The bad, she's the big bad, Cassandra Nova.
Her. Yeah. What is she? So what's her deal? She's Professor X's twin sister?
Twin, and I guess they realized when she was born that she had was evil, or they thought she might be evil, so they didn't even give her a chance. So they literally put her on the void, from when she was a baby. I don't know how she survived, but she's supposed to be a telepath like him, but she also has telekinesis, which Professor X does not have. So I don't know who's more powerful.
I gotta say, that effect that they did with her putting her fingers through people's heads was
that's
freaking
crazy.
wild looking.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when she does it to Paradox. I was like, man, this looks so good, but so disturbing.
It made me feel uncomfortable. Also,
Exactly.
the way Chris Evans just got his skin exploded.
Oh.
I think Deadpool even says he's like my least favorite Chris or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some good stuff in there. I will say the whole what Annie's villains kind of want, and this whole third act of what's the actual stakes other than the whole timeline, but not really knowing what will fix it. I don't know. I'm a little confused as to what exactly was happening. But the TVA Paradox has fucked with her in some meaningful way, right? She's not happy. Do you guys know what happened?
She is happy.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was going to say Mr. Paradox does mention it, when they decide a world's going to die, they usually get 1,000 years for it to slowly die out. But he went off script.
Oh,
and he
right.
wants to just kill these universes right away. And so that's why they're doing it without the TVA's authority. And but as far as Cassandra and Nova, PK, you can go.
Yeah, it's just like Brett said, Paradox wants to be a mercy killer and just prune the universe with this time ripper thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
he wants to rise through middle management by hitting his numbers, basically. He's look how efficient we are.
Basically, yeah, they let Cassandra Nova kind of run the void. I mean, I don't know if they actually know she is, but once Pyro is you find out he's kind of on the inside with Paradox, and then he gives him the okay to try to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
That's when she's like, all right, hold on, we had a deal, and I'm pissed. So she's trying to take over and basically turn everything into the void because the TVA essentially went behind her back. But a lot of the story and the plot are very loose.
Yeah.
This movie's all about the fun and actually seeing Deadpool and Wolverine on screen, which I understand if that's not everybody's cup of tea and they left wanting more, but man, I had a freaking blast.
No,
with this
yeah,
movie.
Same.
It's definitely fun. What's happening. I think the story is secondary to that, but I will say it is mostly all fun. But I was also surprised at how much emotion is displayed with this Wolverine from Hugh Jackman. There's one scene where he's by the fire and he's with the little girl from Logan. I forget her. What's her?
X-23.
X-23.
Laura.
Yeah. And it's a full-on 5-minute scene of him coming to grips with letting down the people of his world.
I feel all the Deadpool movies have this weird kind of heart to them. In the second movie, Vanessa gets shot, and there's this he's kind of when he's like unconscious or something, he like talks to her but he can't reach her, and it's really sad and stuff like that. And the first movie, you know, he gets cancer and all this stuff, and it's like it gets pretty deep out of nowhere. But yeah, Wolverine was definitely the heart of this movie, especially like all the stuff with why he wears the suit. I thought that was fantastic, and that's kind of what I mentioned earlier. Like Hugh Jackman brings it because he didn't have to; he could have phoned it in. But yeah, that scene by the fire that you were talking about was great. Mm-hmm. And I think his other best acting of the movie is when he's straight up ripping into Deadpool in the van, just saying he's a piece of shit and he's worthless, and it's the biggest joke on earth that he can't die, but everybody else, it's a joke on everybody else.
Yeah.
And that leads into probably my favorite scene of the whole movie, the van fight scene to Grease. That was freaking fantastic. Mm-hmm.
There's a joke in there that I'm pretty sure I get, and it's pretty freaking brutal. I'm really surprised Hugh Jackman was okay with this joke. When he said something like, "Oh, he's usually shredded, but since the divorce, he really let himself go." Like, him and his wife separated last year in real life after almost 30 years.
That was pretty wild, and that was like,
yeah,
I don't know. That was always the thing. Was like people commemorated or like gave Hugh Jackman a lot of credit for like staying with his wife for so long, like his age appropriate, like pre-famous wife. And that was pretty sad when they divorced. So that stood out to me too. That's a little bit mean. Is that what you're getting at, Brett? Like I just caught you off guard.
Yeah, but again, I doubt they would have done it if he wouldn't have been okay with it.
They definitely made a subtle joke about Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck being divorced too.
I love that joke.
There's like when they say Daredevil was killed, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and she just quickly is like, "It's all right."
That's funny.
Yeah,
I was really hoping we'd see Ben Affleck show up in the red glasses. That would have been hilarious. Mm-hmm. I think people forget Jon Favreau was in that movie as well.
I actually own that movie, so I didn't forget.
Does he play Happy?
Or is he Fozzie?
He plays Foggy.
Foggy, yeah.
This is a very like inside baseball of superhero movies because I feel like I'm pretty average. Like I've seen almost all the MCU movies and a couple of the shows, but there's still like references to things that
definitely
guys are like. This is like advanced superhero movie. In terms of I like know everything, but what happens here at the end? We're back in our world. Nova has accessed the timeline shutdown machine, and then we start to see a bunch of Deadpools. We saw all the Wolverines earlier. PK, any of the Deadpools that you particularly liked?
Well, the fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but obviously Lady Deadpool is Blake Lively.
I literally, when I saw that she was a woman, I said, that's got to be Blake Lively, before I even knew.
Yep. Kidpool, the one that says that line about, if I want you to just talk, I'd take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth. That's his son. That's one of their kids. And then apparently Baby Deadpool, that's like their 1-year-old kid. So that was cool. And then I've heard that Cowboy Deadpool was voiced by Matthew McConaughey himself. They had, a Deadpool with the Welsh flag. Kind of like the shout out to Wrexham.
It's actually Paul Mullins. It's Paul Mullins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually him.
That's cool. And so, yeah, there's just so many. Like Headpool, just a floating head.
Dude, and then the gag about the nice guy getting killed. He's the only one that doesn't regenerate, and he's just getting blasted. That's pretty funny.
I love the part where he tries to do the fourth wall break. I can loosely break the fourth wall, and he just looks at the screen. The proposal.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Do you think that's what I do?
Yeah.
I can gently tap the fourth wall, too. The proposal. What the fuck was that? Bitch, you think that's what I do?
Dogpool.
Mm-hmm. Ugliest dog, but so ugly it's cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of funny shots with Dogpool running with his little footsies on.
Dude, Ryan Reynolds' reaction at the very end, like after the third act, when Dogpool shows up, he just throws his shawarma on the ground, like smacks his legs and does a little giddy dance. That shit was hilarious.
I love the shawarma joke. He's like, what did he say? The Avengers invented shawarma or something like that. I don't remember, but
he's like, the Avengers discovered shawarma.
There's a pretty fun shot too when our Deadpool and the good Wolverine are just cutting their way through all of those Deadpools. Mm-hmm. It's pretty long too. It's like 3-4 minutes long, and it's just like this kind of like unbroken shot of them fighting through a bus and like fighting on top of cars.
Very like old boy-esque.
Yeah. It feels like a SNES level, like in like Turtles in Time or something, like where you're just like side scrolling and fighting.
I said to my girlfriend right before that fight scene where they kind of walk out after he tries to resuscitate Headless, shot up Nice Pool. But when they walk out in that slow-mo, it's like the shot from the trailer. I just looked at her. I was like, God damn it, they look so cool. I still think the Deadpool suit is the best looking suit on screen to date for Marvel. And then obviously when Wolverine pulls up the mask, it's just like, oh, finally, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Had that not been a thing, his mask?
Not in live action. I mean, that they made multiple jokes about like, it only took you 20 fucking years to wear this suit. He finally doesn't think he's too cool to wear a suit in a superhero movie.
It is like the yellow and the red do look really good together, too. Like those two suits, like it's a pretty just like aesthetically pleasing even team up.
Can we go back before the third act real quick to when they're having their big fight scene in the void with like Elektra and Gambit and all them? I really like that scene where they finally get the Juggernaut helmet on Cassandra Nova, and you know it's all about, you know, she gets shot by the pyro guy, and Wolverine's like, you know, I can't, like, Charles wouldn't let, like, as much as I want to kill you with, like, every bone in my body. Like,
Yeah, that's good.
Charles would not want me to let you, to, like, watch you die. And then he gets the line about, like, if he knew you were here, he would have ripped the universe to shreds to get you back. Like, showing how good of a guy Charles Xavier is. And he's finally living up to, like, he says it, and he's like, I want to finally be who Charles thought I could be. And, like, that's kind of, like, going back, like, Hugh Jackman is definitely the heart of this movie.
And I like how it worked a little bit. Like, she's still evil, but she's like, I'm going to give you 4 seconds to get out of here. Now, she undoes it all by going and trying to end the world, but...
Did you guys know that song that played when they were, like, running in slow-mo towards the Doctor Strange portal? I don't remember what song it is, but... because there's this real quick line when they're about to, like, they're talking to Elektra and them in their little hideout, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna have a slow motion fight scene, a sad song, and all this stuff. And my girlfriend informed me that is the song that plays during, like, the saddest part of The Notebook, which I haven't seen. And she's like, this, every time I hear this song, I want to cry, but it was just so ridiculous in this scene. It made me laugh.
It's been a while since I've seen The Notebook.
Jimmy Durante, I'll Be Seeing You, I think is the name of the song.
I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything.
And then the whole, like, after they get through the portal and she's like talking to Pyro about, like, all right, well, let's see why you betrayed me. And he's like, whoa, just ask sometimes. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, don't just stick your fingers in my head. That was hilarious.
Since we're on that scene too, can I ask, what are Gambit's powers? I know they make a joke of it. Like, is he like really like a psychic blackjack dealer? Is that what he does?
It's not psychic. I would say, what's that? He can turn like cards, any projectiles into energy that explode and stuff. I don't know if he... And he could, like, use that stick of his to, like, jump and crap, but...
There is a Gambit in the X-Men Wolverine Origins movie, played by, I think, Taylor Kitsch.
Yep.
Which,
that's exactly what it is.
That's why, like, when you get that half or 2 second shot of the card before you see it's Channing Tatum, I looked at my girlfriend, I was like, this better be Channing Tatum. And it was. I was so pumped. But yeah,
so
it's like,
kinetic
he's basically
energy,
just a superpowered magician.
Yeah.
Kinetic energy generation and manipulation. It does say he's got telepathic immunity via charged potential energy, but...
No, I love that line from Deadpool where he's just like, oh, so your superpower is close-up magic.
Yeah.
We're totally not fucked at all.
That was funny. Yeah. But just to talk on the end real quick, like I said, I don't think the story or this conflict is necessarily the main part. I do think there's like a nice
I like that
arc, though. Brett, like it feels like Deadpool is finally doing something for not just himself, for other people, and Huge Jackman is like actually showing up and like being there for Deadpool, right, or this universe, right? Like I don't know, it's kind of nice.
I never really thought about that, Pat, but you said, like, the story is second to kind of the spectacle of him being in the MCU and saying goodbye to the past. And, you know, there is obviously a plot, but, like, it's very rare that a plot's in the background of a story, but...
Well, it's just like you said, you know, Wolverine shows up, and that's kind of what X-23 is telling him. He's like, whatever you think I am, I'm the wrong guy. She's like, well, that's the thing. You've always been the wrong guy.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, you show up when it counts, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, I mean, how they save the day is metaphoric, like, to what this, like, the whole point of this movie is, where they're just like, they're like holding hands. You know what I mean? They're literally like teaming up, connecting, like forming a circuit. Like, that's the whole point of this movie, is like, yes, let's do Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together.
The scene right before when Wolverine's like, you know, he's like, you got a whole family here. Like, I got nothing. Like, give me this. Let me sacrifice myself. And, like, it got me a little emotional when Ryan Reynolds, like, it's so, you could tell it's super genuine when he's about to walk in the door. He's like, I've waited a long time for this team up. And I was like, oh. I was like, it's true. He has.
I was mad at him, though, for giving up. I mean, obviously it worked out, but it's like, let Wolverine do this. He needs this, too.
Speaking of a long time for a meetup, can you explain... Wolverine has a brother? Is that like a thing from other movies or media? Because like he fights him in this movie, but it's like the Indiana Jones bit, right? Where it's like setting up to be this epic fight, and then Wolverine just like kills him with one swipe.
See, I think Sabretooth was only in, correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, but was he only in the first X-Men? Like that Sabretooth?
Yeah, he dies. He gets...
And then Liev Schreiber plays like I believe a younger version of Sabretooth in X-Men Origins.
And they fight Deadpool, air quotes, Deadpool, together in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, so this is like this, and it's the same, Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool in that one, right? Like,
yeah,
that was like the first iteration where he's got his mouth shown shut, and he's like a science project, and he's actually kind of scary. It's like, but yeah, that's not Deadpool.
Yeah. Well, like we said, they saved the day, and it ends with Hugh Jackman moving in with Deadpool. I mean, does this indicate that, like, we'll see more of them together?
I don't think so. I
mean, they're making the joke that he's going to do it until he's 90. Like, I know but is that, like, actually a joke? Or is that real?
I think it leaves the door open
for
potential more. Or, like, you know, they could show up in a bigger Avengers movie potentially, or like eventually when they make the MCU like X-Men. But I think it also is like it's a good closing of the characters just in case if they don't show up anymore.
Aren't they recasting him for the X-Men movies?
I think so.
With a younger person?
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe or something?
Can I just say, I hate to sound like a dead horse on this podcast, but like I wouldn't mind if they just did a hard reboot of the MCU starting with the X-Men as like a foundation. Like they don't need to explain.
I feel like that's
through
almost
timelines.
what they're doing with the Fantastic Four. Like it's kind of like, all right, this is a new phase that we're bringing back Marvel's first family, and I think that's kind of what they're doing with that. But yeah, I agree. I could see that.
Like yeah, if you want to say, hey, it's just tucked away in this obscure timeline, here we go, and like kind of just leave it at that. I'd be okay with it. Or even just like how the DC does it, where they're like, oh, here's a standalone Batman universe in its own thing. That's got to get a TV show. Like, I don't know. But any final thoughts from Deadpool and Wolverine? Anything we didn't talk about? Any jokes?
I just read something funny that I had to do a little more research. So, but like, you know, Rob McElhenney, he owns Wrexham with him, obviously.
Yeah.
He filmed a cameo, and he said he went to the theater and his scenes were cut.
Oh, damn.
And he said, I traveled 6,000 miles to be in this movie. There's no way he did me like that. And then he like, I guess it reached out to Reynolds, and he's like, oh, I don't know what happened. I'll try to figure it out. But that was the only theater where you were cut out. But yeah, apparently, I don't even know if it was an accident or whatever, but He's
Well, they
filmed
did.
a scene.
He posted pictures of himself in like a TVA outfit, so it's like he might have been in it, but it's like I don't know if his face was supposed to be shown or not. But
No, he is a TVA
I kind
person.
I kind of assumed he was that guy in the hallway where they first show up at his apartment, and he's like, you in the back with the eyes, like I can't see your eyes. But
I don't think that's him. I thought the same thing, but I think his scenes were filmed out in the void, and he gets eaten by Goliath, I believe.
Oh
but,
shit.
Again, I don't know, and I bet you he'll probably be on the extended cut or whatever when that comes out, which I'm going to buy like right away.
I can't wait to watch the bloopers and the gag reel.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be insane.
Speaking of just Welcome to Wrexham real quick, that show's good. Total side note.
It is.
It's a really good show. Like, I've only seen...
I love a good sports doc.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah, it's a really, really entertaining show. Side note. Any other notes? That dog really is super ugly.
I think Brittany saw like bloopers, and he like Ryan Reynolds was like disgusted every time they screwed up a shot, and he had to get that licked by that dog again. Like I think he was like grossed out.
I would be too.
Really?
Yeah,
Even if it's
Yeah.
a cute ass dog licking your inside your mouth, it's fucking gross.
It goes on for a while too. It's like I was wondering.
One of
how
my
they did
favorite jokes was when he first shows up to the TVA and they're like, he says he's Marvel Jesus and stuff, and he's like, hold on a second. He walks all the way up to the camera, grabs it, it goes, fuck you, Fox. He pulls down the boom mic. I'm going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So good.
I like the little jokes with like the TVA workers where he's like, he thinks the guy's like getting turned on by him, but then when he sees Wolverine, he gets turned on, and like the bigger guy.
Oh yeah.
I also love.
Who are you calling? Your wife? No, HR. Does your wife work in HR?
And I like the cameo by what's her face from Loki, Hunter B-15, and she's like super into.
Oh yeah.
What's his friend?
Peter Poole?
Yeah. Peter Wisdom, I guess his character's name is, whoever that is. But other than that, I got nothing. I like the cocaine jokes from Blind Owl.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up
So-
too.
Dude, Blind Owl.
She's
oh my
blind,
God.
and you call her Blind Owl? Yeah.
Do you think that was a real red line? Like the Feige said, you can't do cocaine for real.
I do. I think so.
It does seem.
Also,
real.
I heard that Disney, like, apparently Henry Cavill broke the Disney rule where, like, usually Disney doesn't allow smoking on screen.
Did he smoke?
And he was just ripping a cigar.
Oh.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that's true, but I was listening to a different podcast and they mentioned that. I was like, huh. I've never, like, thought about it, but that seems like something Disney would do.
Yeah, there's been like I've heard talk of like these Disney brand guidelines where it's like no beheadings, no smoking. I don't know. There might be like one more in there, but I think when you are now as wide as Disney is, you can like make something like Deadpool and Wolverine and have it kind of be outside of the brand. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's going to be like Deadpool pins at Disney World necessarily. Maybe, but any other final thoughts, PK?
Nah.
Anything else?
Not really. Just it was good to be back talking to you guys again.
Oh yeah.
It's finally like when the movie's about to start and the Marvel logo was playing, I was like, man, I haven't been this excited to hear this intro in a long time. So it was good to have a fun Marvel movie again, and I'm hoping this is the start of a trajectory going forward and upwards. Even though, like, as the superhero correspondent, I really appreciate some of the other movies that have come out of this downtime, just that aren't superhero related. Like, I feel like people are starting to got the fatigue, and this might be bringing it back a little bit, but there's a lot of other good movies out there, and I appreciate all of them.
True. Well,
By the way, if you guys end up wanting to do a Twisters episode, I've seen that twice, and I would love to talk about
ooh,
it.
I want to see that. I also kind of want to see Alien Romulus. Like, I think
Me too.
I'm kind of excited.
I think it's going to
for
be
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Brittany wants to see that M. Night Shyamalan movie, but it got bad reviews. The one with
Was that a concert?
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett.
Was that a concert?
That trailer was fantastic.
I like
but yeah,
the
I've heard the
concept
third
of it.
act falls apart.
Mm.
Oh, you
Which
heard
doesn't
that or you
surprise
saw
me.
that?
I heard that. I haven't seen it yet, but It doesn't surprise me for M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
He's always got these fantastic concepts that kind of fall short.
Apparently Nathan Fillion is the voice of Headpool.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
That's another reference.
Yeah.
But that's all I got, or else I'll just keep talking. So
Yeah. Well, and we'll PK, we got to have you on more often. We've done a lot of new movies this summer. It's been kind of fun. It's been like a summer of new movies. What we did? We did Furiosa and Deadpool.
That was a good movie. Good episode.
What else did we do? I feel like we did one more.
Climax.
Oh, Long Legs. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I haven't. Yeah, I want to see that movie, so I haven't listened to the episode yet.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, I think you'd like it. It's good. I liked it. I gave it a yes, and I'm gonna give Deadpool and Wolverine a yes. Brett was talking before the podcast. He thought I was gonna be anti, and did I give it like the highest letterbox rating? No, it was like a hard yes. No, but it was fun and it's silly, and the characters have a good arc, and I don't particularly care about like the legacy of Logan being ruined, and even if I did, I felt like they handled it in a goofy, funny way. So yeah, I think this is like almost pushing me to the edge, to feeling like there may have been some jokes where because I've only seen 20 movies and not 40 movies in this universe that I'm missing out on some, but I've seen enough to laugh. I did listen to Red Letter Media and the one point, or half of their review, and the one point that really stood out to me is one of them said, imagine if this was the first MCU movie you had seen. If you just walked into the theater and all right, this is where I'm going to jump in. That would be nuts. And it's kind of the same thing with Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's been these do feel tapping into I don't know, seeds that have already been sown, right? Nostalgia a little bit. But to that end, I still really liked it. I give it a yes. Funny, goofy. And I like that I think we've done all 3 Deadpool movies for this podcast. Yep. So yeah, give it a yes. I like the Deadpools. Brett, why don't you go next?
Okay, so I'm gonna the first thing that actually laughed out loud and was at the very beginning of the movie, and I thought it was really funny how they did that when he's digging him up, and he's like, I know something they don't know. He regenerates, and then they show him, and he's like, okay, you can relax, blah blah blah, and they zoom out, and he's sitting next to Wolverine, who's an obvious corpse of bones, and I was like, freaking laughed out loud. That was
even calls him Hugh. In that
really
scene.
Funny how they did that. But anyway, again, there's a lot of things that I could talk about that made me laugh, but yeah, I'll give this a hard yes. This is one that I feel like I'm going to be able to rewatch a lot, like the other two. Well, can't say the other two because I've only seen the second one, parts of it the second time, but I thought it was great. I love fan service, cameos, meta humor. I love all that stuff. It cracks me up. The 206 bones in a human body or 207 if I'm watching Gossip Girl. That's really freaking funny. I had heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but someone at work told me that when they designed Lady Pool in 2010, that they designed her based off of Blake Lively.
That's funny.
So, whether that's true or not, but either way, hard yes. I had a blast watching this movie. Brittany and I thought it was really funny, so hard yes.
And last but not least, really quick before you go, PK, I hope I can say this well too, but it is kind of cool how the world of Marvel is so expansive that there's room for this whole franchise of a guy who's just satirizing and making fun of it, breaking the fourth wall. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like no other franchise can support this. It's not like in Avatar. There's a wild, comedy movies where they're kind of making fun of Avatar. I don't know. There's something that's that is really fun about the Deadpool concept. But PK, go ahead. Last yes or no.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to make fun of yourself. You got to be able to make fun of yourself, and I think that's part of it. I think Kevin Feige realizes that not a lot of the movies recently have been received very well, and I think he's like, all right, well, let's see what the people want. Let's give the people what they want, which is what this movie was. It was for the fans, and it's a hard yes for me. I haven't laughed out loud like that in a movie in a long time, in the theater. So it was just it was a good time. It was awesome seeing those two on screen together, having a blast and destroying each other's bodies. But one thing we didn't talk about that I wanted to bring up, which also made me emotional, was the 20th Century Fox tribute during the credits.
Yeah, it's good.
Dude, came out of nowhere, but it was so cool. Like, it was just like, they trash it all movie, and they're like, all right, well, these were actually some pretty special movies to a lot of people, and they gave it the tribute with Green Day, and I was like, why is this making me like almost want to tear up?
I had to leave.
You didn't see that?
I had to poop.
You had to leave? I
had to
First of
poop
all,
Dude,
so
they literally,
badly. I went to a morning
in the middle of the credits, they play Green Day's, what's that song called?
Time of Your Life.
Good
Good
Riddance, or
Riddance, Time of Your Life.
Yeah. And it's literally like a montage of BTS footage of like the first X-Men, like Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman interviews and Ryan Reynolds interviews from like the old movies. They show back behind the scenes of like Elektra and Blade, and it's like, holy shit, this is like making me sad. It was a really cool tribute.
Yeah.
And then obviously the post-credit scene, if you didn't stay for that, was great.
I cannot believe you didn't see. Like, I thought that was the best post-credit scene they've had in a long time. It's really funny.
What happened? So I went to a 9 a.m. showing, and all I had in the morning was popcorn and coffee, and I had to poop so badly, like I ran out of the theater.
Do you want to go ahead, PK?
The post-credit scene, it cuts to Deadpool in the TVA, standing in front of all those like TV screens, and he's like, "I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit like slander about how I got Johnny Storm killed. Let's go to the replay."
Yeah.
And it cuts to them when they're like tied up, getting taken to the lair, and it's like there's like a camera feed up top, and it literally shows Chris Evans saying all the shit.
Oh, really?
That Deadpool was like saying that he said, and he's like, "Why did I say that?" And then it's
That's
literally
funny.
him, and then at the very end, he just clicks out. He's like, "I got you, motherfucker," or something like that.
Yeah, it's really, really funny. Like, because obviously you don't think that's true.
Right.
Like, he wouldn't do that. And first of all, if you watch it, Chris Evans is talking so fast. Could not have been easy to memorize that dialogue and do it as well as he did. But you should try to find a clip of that online, Pap.
Yeah, I'll try to
It's
watch
great.
it. Or maybe I'll watch it when it comes out on video. But PK.
But yeah, definitely,
Go ahead, yeah.
definitely a yes for me, and I appreciate you guys having me back. And yeah, whenever you guys want, I'll be here.
All right. We got to have you back on Twisters. Might be really fun. I think we might be able to make that happen.
It is a fun movie. It's a good
Yeah.
blockbuster.
Thanks for coming on, PK. And thanks for being a patron,
Absolutely.
too, and all your support. I do have a quick trivia if you guys want to play.
Oh,
It's couldn't be shorter. Closest to winner can go ahead and take us out and say the take us away, spoiler man. Give a hot take if they want. But this is going to be tough because unless you have some kind of like base of judgment, it's going to be tough to throw a number out here. But in terms of total cargo capacity in cubic feet, how much room does a 2024 Honda Odyssey have with all of the seats folded down?
Oh my goodness.
Cubic feet. So
I'm not a science guy.
dude, I have no clue.
I know it could be anything. We'll go Brett first because Brett's really good at trivia.
I just don't want to give a Josh answer and be so far off.
Josh does give
Well,
the
sorry, Josh.
least accurate answers. It is no.
Let's see. So let's go. Let's say it's 5 by 4 by
Cubic
Yeah,
feet.
Keep talking,
No.
Brett. Keep talking.
A
Keep talking out loud.
2064 Honda Odyssey. The
I'm going
seats
to be
folded
way,
down.
way off. I'll say 365.
365 degrees
Mm.
of total cargo capacity feet. Or
Oh, I thought it was cubic feet.
In cubic feet, yes. In cubic
Oh,
feet. PK, go ahead. 365 cubic feet.
I'm going to kind of go right in the middle. I'm going to go 150.
PK.
Nailed it.
No way.
The actual total capacity of a 2024 Honda Odyssey minivan. Almost bumped over my microphone in excitement. With the seats folded down is 158 cubic feet.
Oh, wow.
Shit.
Good, he
I
deserved it.
promise I didn't look this up.
What?
it's only right. It's only right that he won.
I was going to say $1, Bob, but I was like, I feel like that might be too far off.
What a guess. PK, you're obviously the closest. Go ahead. If you have a hot take or anything you want to say, the floor is yours. But then give us a take us away, spoiler man, whenever you're ready.
I don't really have a hot take, but I just want to say thanks again for having me on. And I'd love to do a Twisters episode. Glenn Powell is taking over Hollywood, and he's a very attractive man.
He is.
And I get it now after seeing that movie. But yeah, that was a great time. So take it away, spoiler pool, man.
Special thank you to our patrons, Matt Troll, Brother Brian, Druid King, Nick, The Meg, Nurse Stacy, The Wolf, Barky 420, PK, Spencer, Gale, Swole, Cheese Zombie, Sebastian, Dr. Lars, Stone Cold Austin, Nephew Quinn, Best Friend Drew, Shatty Daddy, Jimmy the Cricket, a little Andrew Dice Clay, yay. That was spoilers.